Hello everyone, bit of a different video here. So a little while ago we were talking in the Lords of Darkness group, me, Marcus, Metfile2708 and Ash from Popcorn and Horror. Can't remember we got onto the subject whether Marcus had purchased some, he was going to show in a haul and he'd like give me and Ash a sneak peek, or whether just talking about films in general, but we got onto the subject of Tartan video. So yeah, Marcus was on about it. I said I thought I had about 10 or so. Look, turns out I've got a lot more than that. Marcus said it'd be interesting to see them in a video. So yeah, here's the video. Other people might not find this interesting. You know, a lot of the films are independent, foreign, world cinema, subtitle, you know, foreign language. I'll talk about them as I get to them. Obviously, I've already showed the Tartan Asia Extreme. Just looking at them now. Got all of those. I think there's 84. But there is, the offshoot of Tartan Video. Then I've also got Tartan Cinema, Tartan Grindhouse, and sorry, I'm just looking at them down here to remember what they are, and Tartan Terror. I did have a few more of these over the time, you know, as I've got some of the sort of French extreme films like Inside on Second Sight 4K. Then I traded it in. I picked up the Irreversible Gaspar Noé film, quite a disturbing, nasty film. Picked that up on Indicator. Quite weird. Indicator's released that one, really. I think it was in the 2 for 15. Then yeah, when I looked on CEX, I think they gave me like £6 or £8 trade-in for the DVD. So yeah, in hindsight, I wouldn't say I should have kept them, because unlike Tartan Asia Extreme, where I was trying to go for the whole collection, with these, it's just films I've picked up over time and sort of built them up. But yeah, I think quite a few, once I'd upgraded them onto 4K, and that's kind of no point having a DVD. Obviously, once I've upgraded on Tartan Asia Extreme, I've kept, just because I've got the whole collection. So yeah, some of those I've got on Blu-ray and 4K on Second Sight and Arrow Video, 88 film, stuff like that. But yeah, with these, yeah, I think I gave some away to Marcus, Xfile2708, some away to Lewis, aka Big Boy Beza. Some I traded in. Yeah, some were worth quite a lot. I was kind of keeping a lot of them on DVD, and then a while ago, when I sort of looked on CEX, yeah, I had some, I think, Switchblade Romance, Inside, Frontiers. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were worth quite a lot. One I had in the past, filmed by, what's he called? I'm having a mental blank. The guy that makes, let's see if I can find it down there. It's on Criterion. Gummo, Harmony Korine did one called Julian Donkey Boy, one of the most boring, bizarre, and not even in a good way films I've seen. So yeah, I traded that one in. But anyway, enough waffle. I'll get on showing them. I won't talk about each one too long. Or if this video will be another 40-minute one. I'll just give like a sentence on each one, I guess, and just show them, tell you the year and things. So, bit of a spoiler alert. This one's going to be in my recent watches when I record it. I've watched 5 so far. Probably another week or so until I've got enough to show. But you might have seen it on my but a previous pickups video is Primer. Hopefully there's not too much glare. It's quite sunny in the UK today. It's by a film by Shane Carruth from 2004. Yeah, well, it says Tartan DVD on the front, but they've all got that sort of consistent spine with like Tartan Video on. Some of them do have the country on the front, like USA, France, whatever, but this one doesn't. Yeah, when I picked this up in CX, about £3.50. I think it's out of print. It's I thought it was just stuck on DVD, but yeah, Ash had commented, Popcorn and Horror, saying he upgraded this to Blu-ray as soon as he sort of found it. So yeah, I think it has got an upgrade. I think a lot of these don't. They all come with a little booklet showing all the sort of titles you can collect and things, if you wanted to tick them off. And then usually like a little book, usually an essay by, I think this one might be by Kim Newman, yeah, like film notes. Yeah, I won't say too much about the films, but this one, yeah, a bit of like a physics mind twister. I found it quite sort of intellectually tiring. Not so much the science behind it, but just the story. It's like jumping around. Kind of, I'd say, if anyone's seen Darren Aronofsky's Pi, I think is his first film. Let me show you it for context. It's a film about like maths, basically. Grafting patterns in science and the Fibonacci sequence kind of stuff. It's kind of like that, crossed with Memento. I'm not saying it's all in reverse, but just the way it's sort of styled and that. It says here Donnie Darko for grown-ups. Don't really know where they're getting that from, but yeah, good film. I'll talk about that more when I do my recent watches. Next one, Really good one, this. A film by Nicole Cassell. The other day when I was talking about Stir of Echoes, and I was saying I couldn't think of many other Kevin Bacon films outside of like Tremor, Stir of Echoes. I forgot this one, which is one of my, I say, favourites. It's quite a depressing, controversial subject matter kind of film, but it's a well-made film. It's The Woodsman, so from 2004. Did I say Primer? Yeah, Primer's from 2004. Starring Kevin Bacon, Kyra Sedgwick, Eve and Mos Def. I think are both rappers. Eve's a female rapper, Mos Def. David Alan Grier and Benjamin Bratt. It's 84 minutes. USA film, as you can see there, but in English language. But yeah, a while ago when I seen this in CX, probably a year ago, it was going for like 18 or 20 quid. Now, when I seen it the other day, it's like 50p. So I don't think it's had an upgrade to Blu-ray or 4K, so I don't really know why it's dropped in price. Usually that's an indicator that it's, you know, come out and it's no longer out of print kind of thing. But The Woodsman, yeah, it's one of the better ones, I'd say. This one, everybody, well, I say everybody, lots of people know. I got this about 12 years ago, watched it a few times, was always singing its praises. No one seemed to know what it was. And then Jodie from Jodie's Movie Realm spoke about this, and a lot of people, especially in the Movie Looms group and that, all jumped on it. I think everybody enjoyed it. It's kind of like a bleak, depressing film. Even though it's only on DVD, the cinematography, or at least the location they shoot, looks amazing. In the Creek, I guess I'll give it away, I'll show it to you now, is Mean Creek. So it's directed by Jacob Aaron Estes. Be interesting to know if he's done anything else. Jodie might know. From 2004. So yeah, as you'll see as I go through them, 2004, not only a good year for the volume of films Tartan Video are pumping out, but a good year for challenging sort of independent films, I would say. Yeah, it's independent, but it's got, well, I guess he's quite young, Rory Culkin, maybe before he was that famous. I guess he's never been as famous as his brother Macaulay. I think there's another brother as well, not sure of his name. This one is 86 minutes. 15 contains strong language and moderate sex references. USA film. Yeah, I won't say too much about it because it's a bit spoilerish, but I'll just say it's kind of a contemplation on bullying. And quite hard-hitting, is all I will say. But yeah, the music, the cinematography, really well-made film. Mean Creek, and yeah, it's not too broad. It's not on the level of Martyrs, where, you know, it's going to haunt your dreams or something. Now we're moving on to something from France, bit different here, with an animated, but don't let that fool you. This is, it's basically like a silent film, but the emotions on the characters, the way the story's played, you understand exactly what's going on without needing dialogue. So if you're a bit scared of subtitles, I say scared, not a fan of reading subtitles, then yeah, and you're not a fan of animation, this isn't what you'd expect from animation. Is Belleville Rendezvous, also known as the Triplets of Bellevue, directed by Sylvain Chomet, I guess you pronounce it, from 2003, so predating those ones slightly. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these reviews have got 5 stars. Won't go into the plot too much, but basically a guy's training for the Tour de France. His mum's like training him, he rides up these steep hills, and then his legs are so like aching, she gets like a mangler and like massages his muscles. Very bizarre, very surreal film. I think the guy that did this, or at least the people behind it, maybe the animators, also did The Illusionist and maybe Delicatessen. But yeah, you'd have to kind of watch. I would recommend, like I say, even if you're not into animation and that, it is really well done, really clever film. I'd say it's like a classic. Yeah, showed this to one of my mates who's not into these kind of films at all, and he thought it was brilliant. Bought it himself. Yeah, Belleville Rendezvous, aka the Triplets of Belleville. When I was speaking to Roy about it, I think he remembered the bit with the like mice in the clock. There's also a bit when a dog has a dream, and what the dog dreams of is just surreal and crazy. This next one, we're moving on to some quite extreme, messed up stuff now with Taxidermia. It's from 2006. It's from Hungary. I think one of the only Hungary films I've got. Obviously Hungarian language. Filmed by György Palfi. I'm guessing you pronounce it. Don't really know Hungarian. I spoke about this before on my weirdest films in my collection video. And yeah, not only is it weird, it's graphic, it's quite extreme, it's gory. I mean, here on the back, 18 contains strong gory images, real sex, and very strong language. It's kind of, it's got 3 timelines. So it starts with a guy who's like, I think he's alive during the war or something, and he's got some weird sex fetishes, shows all that in quite graphic detail. Then he has a son. His son goes on to be a speed eater. It shows him guzzling all his food and vomiting it up. So if that triggers you, then yeah, be careful. I mean, it sort of turned my stomach a bit. And then he's obviously a speed eater, a big guy, and then he has like a sort of premature, scrawny son who's like the runt of the litter, and he's not proud of him. And he grows up to be a taxidermist. Some bizarre stuff going on in here, not just like offensive and quite vile. I guess it's a black comedy though, really. It is actually quite funny, but played in a very dark way. Yeah, I guess it's like a vignette, I guess you called it, where it's sort of three stories wrapping around, relating to each other, and then some of the characters do intertwine into each other's stories. For the context of how weird it is, I'll say he basically keeps these cats in a cage and he feeds them butter to fatten them up. Yeah, I can't really say too much about spoiling it, but yeah, WTF, this is one of the weirdest films I've ever seen. Not just weird in a surreal way, but some of the imagery, you're never going to see anything like it. Another quite nasty one here is a French one, starring Vincent Cassel in a film by Kim Chapiron, I guess you pronounce it, from 2006, is Satan, aka Shitan, if you want to know the French. 88 minutes, 18, contains strong horror, violence, sex, and very strong language. I'll show you the back. It's got a bit of nudity in that, but touch wood, I don't think I've ever been flagged. Don't know if you can really see it anyway in this glare. Yeah, this is messed up. I wouldn't really say it's a horror. It's more like a drama with weird stuff going on. But yeah, it does show a lot of realistic stuff. And then it has, without being mean, people with like deformities and things as some of the characters. They use, I guess a bit like Michael Berryman in The Hills Have Eyes. Guess it saves them on makeup, but yeah, I'd say it's more creepy and perverted, I guess, than sort of gory and stuff, although it does have its moments. But yeah, Shitan, quite a messed up one. Probably not quite as intense as Taxidermia, but one of the more crazy ones. Like I say, that's from France. Next, you've got one from Belgium. This is a mockumentary from 1992, so maybe one of the earliest ones I've got here. Oh, actually, it might be one coming up by Alejandro Jodorowsky that I'm guessing is older. A film by Remy Belvaux, Andre Bonzel, and Benoit Poulvorde, I guess you say it. This is a Cannes Prize winner, is Man Bites Dog. Hopefully you can see it without too much glare. 92 minutes, 18, doesn't say why, but yeah, it's basically a mockumentary where these people are following a serial killer around, and then as it goes on, the people making the film kind of start getting involved in the killings and not so much helping, but covering it up, and they become implicated, is as far as I'm going to go. One scene with an old lady, quite disturbing. It's all shot in black and white, very art house, very independent. Again, a dark comedy, very sharp-witted, quite funny. Main character in it, very sort of charismatic, even though he's a serial killer. Next one, probably my least favourite. Lars von Trier film I've seen, and other than Dancer in the Dark and Breaking the Waves, yeah, I find this film, some of them just seem to be like offensive for the sake of it. From Denmark is The Idiots. So this one is 1998. Hopefully you can see that without too much glare. There is some naked rears on it, but I guess they're only their cheeks. Part of a Dogma 95 manifesto. So I think a lot of Scandinavian directors created this set of rules that you'd have to stick to I think you'd have to use a certain budget, only certain characters. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the Dogma 95 manifesto, but it basically limited directors to like small budget and to be a bit more experimental. But yeah, I think it's probably one of Lars von Trier's first films. I won't talk too much about it. It's an 109 minutes. Only thing I will say is basically these people, they pretend to what they call spazzing out. So they'll go in a restaurant, they're sat down like on a table, 5 of them, and then they'll start throwing themselves on the floor and screaming and like pretend to have like learning difficulties. So it's quite offensive, hard watch. I don't think it's really got any gore or anything. I think it's maybe got some like sex in it, but yeah, it's more not just uncomfortable the way they're doing it, but probably offensive to people, you know, that know people with disabilities or learning difficulties. Don't know whether, you know, they said to the restaurant, we're making a film, don't worry when we're what they call spazzing out, or whether they actually don't tell them and then they're just doing it and then they get the shock of the restaurant workers. Hard to tell. Yeah, one I probably wouldn't really watch again. It's not the most interesting film. The Idiots. Oh yeah, so this is one of the older ones from 1973. from the director of El Topo, a film by Alejandro Jodorowsky. I think he's Mexican, but this is Spanish. Well, actually, it's saying English language. Usually his films are Spanish language. It's Holy Mountain. Yeah, this is a real head twister, real surreal. A lot of religious iconography, allegory, metaphor. Yeah, it says Mexico, USA. I don't know if you can see that in the small writing. Yes, I mean, it contains strong violence, it says. Real head trip, kind of David Lynch style. Apparently John Lennon and Yoko Ono were huge fans and supporters of this. Influenced cultural icons as diverse as Marilyn Manson and Nick Nolte. Yeah, it's not as good as El Topo, but I'll show you some of the imagery on the back. It is surreal. He uses like people with like no arms and legs as the real cast. It's basically like a little temple on top of like, I think it's a hill really rather than a mountain, but you have to go up there and do these tests and that to see if you're like the chosen one. And yeah, I can't sort of say too much about it just because it's ineffable really in the way. It's hard to sum up the plot because it's surreal. It's like, you know, talking about David Lynch's Eraserhead, but even more surreal. 110 minutes, 1973. Holy Mountain. Next, you've got, I think it's the only Michael Haneke one on here. Obviously, he has done a remake of this, which isn't on Tartan Video, is Funny Games. So yeah, nowhere near on the level of like Hidden, aka Cachet, or Time of the Wolf, White Ribbon, some of his better films. This does like break the fourth wall a bit, and the characters kind of look to the camera and speak to the audience. I found it took me out of it a bit. Quite brutal. Some sort of on-screen violence that's quite disturbing, involving like a young person is all I'll say. 104 minutes from 1997. The remake is kind of shot for shot with Naomi Watts in it, and what's he called? Something Roth, Tim Roth out of Pulp Fiction, and Rompers, Made in Britain. If anyone's seen that, really underrated British film about sort of racism, hooligan kind of film. Yeah, I'd say this is slightly better just because the villains and that, Peter and Paul, I think they're called, sort of played better by these guys than in the remake. But yeah, sure, everybody knows Funny Games from 1997. German language, but I'm pretty sure it's an Austrian production. I know Michael Haneke is Austrian. This one, quite a disturbing, intense film. Filmed by Marina Davan. Dan's Mapo, aka In My Skin. So it's basically, it's a film about self-harm. Not only is quite sort of gory in that, I guess it hits home where some these extreme horrors and that are sort of outlandish and over the top. This one not only is done in a realistic way, I guess people also probably know people that are self-harm and things. I've known of people that have done it, but it's not just the way it's filmed and that. There's one scene when she's at dinner, like a business meeting with her boss, and she's got like a knife and a fork in her hand and she's twisting it under the table, and not only is it sort of gory, but it's so tense because you're thinking he's going to notice at any minute, and he's kind of looking like, what's she doing? She just can't help herself. She's like biting her skin open and it's bleeding. I think the female director of this, I mean, it stars Maria Davan with Laurent Lucas, who is in The Ordeal, aka Calvert, that we'll get to later. I know Marcus is a fan of that one, and Leah Brucker. But yeah, I think she's the main character. I think herself, she's had issues with self-harm. So I don't think it's a case of being exploitative, using that controversial subject matter to exploit it. I think it's more a case of, you know, it's probably a study on it from a person who knows about it themselves. So I guess she's in the right place to make it. But yeah, not only it's a quite disturbing and gory because of what you see in the subject matter, and it's quite realistic. But yeah, there is a couple of scenes, especially the one at the dinner table, one of the most tense scenes I've ever seen, where you're just like, he's going to find out what's he going to say when she's meant to be having a business dinner. I guess they're talking about a new contract, and she's like stabbing her hand under the table, and he can hear it banging. He's like, what are you doing? Yeah, I mean, it's an 18, contains frequent bloody images of self-mutilation. So yeah, this could trigger some people. But I think out of a lot of these, this is kind of an important film which does arrest a subject matter that should be talking about, I guess. I mean, it says here, gripping, it's horror brain food, David Cronenberg, be proud of, very brave and striking film. Yeah, I guess it is body horror, really. Beware, probably not for everyone, 97 minutes, French language with English subtitles, so you can see there, France. This one, I didn't actually know Paul Verhoeven did films of this. Obviously, RoboCop I absolutely love, Total Recall, Basic Instinct, Starship Troopers, other than Basic Instinct, they're kind of more like sci-fi sort of satire with a bit of comedy in that. Over the top gore in a lot of them, especially RoboCop. Yeah, the version they used to play on TV in that when I was a kid didn't have like the execution of Murphy, but when you see it uncut, RoboCop does go there, to be fair. But yeah, this one is Paul Verhoeven's Black Book. So it's Nazi-occupied Holland set in 1944. I guess it's coming to the end of the Second World War. I'm pretty sure Paul Verhoeven is Dutch, so you can kind of see why he made this. Yeah, I picked it up in a charity shop when I was with Ollie from Ollie Loves Film. Didn't really know too much about it. I think it was like £1 or so, but obviously it was Tartan Video, so I do find a lot of their films, even if you don't like them, they're always well made and interesting, independent. You're never gonna, get some Fast and Furious kind of stuff from them. It's never painting by numbers. But yeah, when I picked it up, I showed it on a haul. I think Roy, Blue Roy Movies, Roy Barrett, commented saying it's a good film, and he's done a lot of other like foreign language. Yeah, I never knew Paul Verhoeven had ventured into these ones. 15 contains strong violence and nudity. Yeah, haven't actually watched this one yet, but we'll get round to it. But yeah, Black Book. Do like everything by Paul Verhoeven other than Showgirls, which I did enjoy when I was a teenager for reasons you can probably tell, but it's been often maligned as a really bad film. This next one, really nasty, one of the nastiest on here. Pretty sure it's a German language, yeah. 123 minutes. Gripping experience, make no mistake, it's a creepy thriller that will unsettle many, called Antibodies, Evil as a Virus. I think this one is out of print, never see this around. Don't think it's ever had a upgrade or anything. Oh, sorry, Black Book was from 2006, if I didn't mention that. Dan's Mapo was from 2002. Sorry, I think I got a bit ahead of myself. I'm trying not to make this go on too long. Yeah, won't really say too much about what the subject matter is, other than the guy is killing minors, and not the same kind of minors that Margaret Thatcher killed, is all I'm going to say. But yeah, disturbing. He recounts the tales of what he did, but you don't really see it happening. What this story is more when he's in prison and the things that's going on, but it is still quite messed up. Yeah, it's like a serial killer kind of theme, but quite gross and nasty. One I've only watched once, haven't really ever felt the need to get round to watching again. Not just because it's nasty, I did find it quite slow and that. But yeah, Antibodies from 2005. Got another one from 2004, one of the best ones on here. I have spoke about this on a recent watches. Only person I've known that I've seen this is Jodie from Jodie's Movie Realm, who basically said it's a one and done. She thought it was a good film, but it's very disturbing. It's Mysterious Skin, a film by Greg Araki. I don't know how you say it. Starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I think it's his first role, at least an early role. He is brilliant in this. Brady Corbett, Michelle Trachtenberg, Jeff Lee Conn, Bill Sage, Mary Lynn Raskub, and Elizabeth Shue, really good as his mum. From the acclaimed novel by Scott Heim. Haven't seen a novel. It's in 101 minutes, English language. Won't go too much into what happens. It's a bit spoilerish, but I'll just read this little segment. The summer I was 8 years old, 5 hours disappeared from my life, 5 hours lost, gone without a trace. Yeah, this has got a lot of like sexual violence and things to do with them remembering whether they were like abused as kids, is all I'm going to say. But yeah, really well made film, but a tough watch. Not just the subject matter, the stuff with the children's dealt with in quite a tasteful way, but there's a scene when he's sort of sexually assaulted. He's a male prostitute, and it is very intense and disturbing. I say it's more emotionally draining and depressing than it is sort of viscerally disturbing. It's along the lines of like Dancer in the Dark, kind of not the gore of Martyrs, but it does have the stomach punch kind of. But yeah, 2004, like I say, was a good year, a certain vintage for these independent kind of films, or it's at least one released by Tartan Video. Sorry, that was USA as well. Next, you've got a film by Todd Solondz. So I have got Happiness on Criterion, 4K double disc, comes with like the 4K and the Blu-ray. So I think I sent the copy, which I think was Tartan Video, onto my friend Al Pearson. And he's also got, I've got a film by him called Storytelling, which is very weird, but that's not on the Tartan Video label, but this one is called Palindromes. So another one from 2004. Todd Solondz, English language, USA film. If anyone knows Happiness or Todd Solondz, I mean, Happiness, best film I've seen by him, just because it's got Philip Seymour Hoffman in, R.I.P., one of the greatest actors ever, in my opinion, in films like Capote, I never know how you say it. Yeah, 2004, it's a bit spoilerish, so I won't really say what happens other than a 12-year-old girl, Aviva Victor, wants to be a mum. She'll do anything she can to make this happen. If anybody doesn't know, a palindrome is a word that reads the same forwards as it does backwards. So the name Hannah is a palindrome. The word race car, I guess that's 2 words, is a palindrome. So it basically starts almost the same as it ends, comes full circle in a loop. Easy for me to say. I like the cover of her like going through the woods. The one thing I will say is it starts with this main character, and then she just keeps changing the character throughout it to different characters, going along the same story, never really explains why. But if you know Todd Solondz, then you know it's going to be weird. 15, contains strong language, moderate sex, and mature themes. Yeah, can't say I enjoyed it too much, can't remember too much about it. I haven't watched it since I first got it about 15 years ago, or whenever it came out. This is a classic one. Already spoke his name, Alejandro Jodorowsky. Also does Santa Sangre, which you can probably see up in the background above Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and below the animated film 9. I'd say this is the best thing he's done. It's a Western, really, I guess. Is El Topo from 1970, so that was older than Holy Mountain. Legendary cult classic, uncut and uncensored for the first time. Contains strong bloody violence. Language is English or Spanish. 120 minutes. Part Louis Buñuel, which is like a surrealist French director. I think he made, is it Eyes Without a Face? Can't remember, but it's a film where someone's eyeball gets sliced, I think. Part Sergio Leone. This bizarre, ultra-violent Western features a brutal, black-clad gunslinger who, accompanied by his young son, sets off on a murderous mission to challenge 4 Zen masters of gunfighting. When his mission is complete, he then goes on a quest for peace and personal redemption, but finds that death is never far away. So it does star his real son. It's got this guy with like no arms, and this really tall guy, and this, I wouldn't want to say midget or dwarf, might be offensive, but a small person, and they like stack up together on top of each other. Yeah, it's very surreal. It's the most surreal, weird Western you'll see, but it is genuinely a well-made film. Most shocking and controversial head trip ever made, Alan Jones says. I don't know if I agree with that. Violent, visionary, and vital. Yeah, I do need a rewatch of this. Haven't seen it in about 10 years. But yeah, my kind of Western, really. This one of my favourite films ever. Probably will make it in my top 10 or 15, just because, you know, compared to some like Shawshank Redemption, Jaws, I don't think it's got as much watchability. A film by Brad Anderson. Would say this is my favourite by him, probably joined with Session 9, which I absolutely love, is The Machinist. So yeah, one of my favourite roles with Christian Bale. He basically lost a load of weight for this role because he plays Trevor Resnick, like an anorexic insomniac that hasn't slept properly in like a year. It's a big twist. I can't really say what happens. I mean, other than American Psycho and Dark Knight, in Dark Knight he's good, but Heath Ledger steals the show, really. It's mostly he's in costume as the Batman. It's only every now and then you see him as Bruce Wayne. American Psycho, he's really good and charismatic, but I think this is his best performance, not just as an actor, but yeah, obviously losing all that weight and that to suffer for the role. And then I think the next role he went on after this was Batman Begins, and jacked up by like 5 stone or so. So yeah, to do that to your body in order for a role, that is true. A mental block is a simple word and I can't think of it. I'll just say true graft. I'll remember the word in a minute. Yeah, very surreal, very nightmarish. Some good actors, starring Christian Bale, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Adjana Sanchez Gihon, John Sharian, and Michael Ironside. Yeah, it's quite sort of disturbing. Some like violent scenes. I mean, 15 contains strong language, gory images, and sex references. Even though it's oh, sorry, now we're on to Tartan Cinema. Oh, so I didn't notice that. Yeah, so all the rest were Tartan Video. I was meant to keep a lookout for this, but I've been getting too involved in chatting about them. So yeah, El Topo was Tartan Cinema. Machinist is Tartan Cinema. Yeah, it doesn't have the running time down the side like most of them does. It's saying it's 2010. Then in last year it's released on this. 98 minutes. Yeah, I don't really know why some are released on Tartan Video, some are Tartan Cinema. Fight Club meets Memento, a cult classic. Yeah, if you haven't seen this, I would recommend. Quite a, not so much disturbing, but quite an in-your-face, haunting film. But yeah, brilliant performance by Christian Bale. When you see him, I don't know if you can see him now, how skinny and that he is in the mirror, but yeah, he really suffered for the role. This one, weird, it's on Tartan. Sorry, they're all falling down. Tartan Cinema. It should really be on Tartan Terror or Tartan Grindhouse. It's House of a Thousand Corpses by Rob Zombie. So yeah, I'm not a massive fan of Rob Zombie. Don't really like any of his other films. What's it called? Devil's Rejects. Ain't too bad, but it's not as good as this. This is kind of a bit of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre rip-off, but more bizarre, like a more surreal version. Pretty sure, I should have double-checked his name. I mean, it's obviously got Sid Haig, Bill Moseley, Sherry Moon, Karen Black. I'm pretty sure it's got an early starring role from, I don't know his name, but if anyone's seen The American Office, the guy that plays Dwight Schrute, probably my favourite character in it. Yeah, he's really good. Without spoiling it, he gets turned into a half alligator stuffed museum creature man, that's all I'm going to say. Yeah, Dr. Satan, really good. Yeah, it's not for everybody. It's very weird art house style. Show a frame, then it'll wash out into weird colours and edit into the next frame. But yeah, for me, it's Rob Zombie's best film. Not a favourite, but it's yeah, worth having in the collection. Like I say, quite a lot of his other things I really don't like. This one I wasn't too big on. This is Tartan Grindhouse. So the only Tartan Grindhouse I've got could have just been on like Tartan Video, really, because it's not that extreme. But it's Bride of Reanimator, filmed by Brian Yuzna. Also does Society, not as messed up as Society. 1990, does still star Jeffrey Combs, Bruce Abbott, Claude Earl Jones, Fabiana Uduenio, David Gale, and Kathleen Kidmont. Yeah, it's not great, to be fair. I prefer, obviously, the original Reanimator, classic sort of 80s comedy horror. And what's the other one called? I've got it on Beyond Reanimator. Yeah, before I go looking. But yeah, Bride of Reanimator. This is Tartan Grindhouse. Quite a few releases on Tartan Grindhouse. I think maybe I had one and like traded it in, but that's the only one I've got now. And then this is the only Tartan Terror I've got. One that I put Marcus onto, and he, I say enjoyed, liked it. Really disturbing, messed up film is The Ordeal, aka Calvert. I've got a lot of glare on it, aka Cal Glare. Contains strong bloody violence from 2004. So again, like I say, 2004, stacked year for Tartan DVD. I mean, it says here, a must-see, Royston Vasey meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That is true. It's a very surreal, basically some guy, Mark Stevens, played by Lauren Lucas, who I spoke about earlier. I think he was in, was it Black Books or something? Black Book. He's a cabaret singer driving through like a back of beyond kind of village, breaks down, and then goes to an inn, but the innkeeper happens to be a twisted guy who lost his wife, and so insane he thinks Mark Stevens is his wife, but then all the villagers want a part of him and he doesn't want to share him. Yeah, I can't go into too much, but there's like sexual violence and things. Very surreal. I think a lot of the disturbing nature comes from the surreality, is that the word? Of it. Yeah, I said to Marcus there's one bit, and he agreed, where it's basically a load of these locals, so like inbreds without being mean, like freaky guys, no women in this village, all in a pub, and some guy starts playing this horrible, discordant cacophony on a piano, and then they all get up and start dancing, and it doesn't sound disturbing, but the way they dance and the surrealness of it, yeah, it literally gives me shivers up my spine. Very depressing, hard to watch film, but it is well done, and yeah, I think it's one of my sort of, I say, favourites. One of the better films out of a lot of these sort of French extreme. I mean, it's French language, but I think it's a Belgian production, French-Belgian. But yeah, that's everything on the Tartan Video. So yeah, you've got Tartan Video, and then the offshoots, Tartan Cinema, Tartan Grindhouse, Tartan Terror. I think they're all owned by the by Palisades, I think the company was called. And then obviously you've got Tartan Asia Extreme that I showed in the past. Yeah, so I don't know if, you know, everybody else's cup of tea, these kind of films, whether they'll be interested, but kind of did this video for Marcus as he sort of requested it. So hope you enjoyed that, Marcus. Show you some good ones to get, but hopefully, yeah, it'll go over a few films I would recommend to people in general. Let me just quickly get out a few of the best ones that I would say are probably more general viewing that everybody would like. El Topo, a good film, but unless you're into surreal sort of David Lynch, you might not get along with it. But yeah, even though these are on Tartan Video, I kind of thought not only a good time to showcase the label, but good time to show some really well-made films that a lot of people might not have heard of. Yeah, so let me chuck these back on the shelf if they'll fit just about. So yeah, I'd say these are the sort of easiest watching, but the best made films, and probably more for a general audience. Primer, The Woodsman, Mean Creek, probably the best out of these, I'd say. I think a lot of people could watch that. Mysterious Skin, good, but received a caution. Very disturbing, emotionally draining film. And The Machinist. But yeah, I'd say The Machinist, Mean Creek, probably the easiest two watches. Primer, not really anything offensive or violent at all. It's only a 12 for a bit of bad language. Woodsman, really well made, but it does have a theme of sort of child abuse, is all I'm going to say. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this if you watched it all the way through. Rambled on longer than I hope, but I always do. Yeah, so there you go, Marcus. Hopefully you can get something out of looking at some of these, and hopefully other people enjoy it. I'll tag the people I've mentioned down below. Right, thank you everybody for watching. Bye.